Last name. Okay. No profanity. All right. Sounds like a lot of
fun, right?
Yeah.
Jack right
That'd
here.
be tough. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm Jack. I'm an alcoholic.
Jack.
Hey everyone. Yeah. So life stuff. Just a little bit of the reason we were late is because I got to take my son to go get his driver's permit. He was 3 years old when I came to this program, and luckily he doesn't remember too much of the 3 years when I was drinking and using. So, yeah, we have a pretty good relationship today. So, but well, my sobriety date is July 7th, 2011, and yeah, for that I am very, very grateful. That was pretty much I was at the end of my rope. I had burned all the bridges that I could possibly burn. I had pretty much gone to every treatment in the area. Some of them I couldn't reapply to because they said you can only come like 2 or 3 times, and I'd already come 2 or 3 times. And then towards the end there, it was jail stints every few weeks for a few weeks at a time. And I remember, I think like the first time I went to jail, I was like, "Oh man, this really sucks," and I was crying, and please get me out of here. And I think the last time I went to jail, I was like, "Thank God I'm in jail. Just get me off the street. There's food. There's a mattress." I welcomed it. And I think a lot of that is just the way that the trajectory of my life. I was just going down to the point where that was I'd become very comfortable in that lifestyle. It was better than the alternative. Climbing into a cardboard dumpster and spending the night there, which I did many times. Sometimes I'd have a car and I'd be able to sleep in that, but a lot of times I didn't. And so, what I can say, what can I say? Timing, circumstance, um, thoughts, feelings, all of that stuff could be a contribution to the reason I got sober, but I don't really know. And I can't really say this is why I got sober. This is, you know, like I didn't say, okay, July 7th will be my last drink. I didn't say that at all. In fact, I went to treatment in June and I used in treatment, my last treatment. And in fact, I actually had my sobriety date was June for my first 2 years in recovery until I talked to my sponsor and I said, "Hey, man, I got to talk to you about something." Of course, I was on probation and I thought maybe like AA was going to report to my probation officer. So I didn't want to get in trouble again. I was on a 5-year deferred, which is funny because like towards the end, it was like 4 years. "Hey, I'm Jack. I'm an alcoholic. I got 4 years. Here, can I get my slip back? Um, get my slip signed for that long." But I don't know what it was. I'd gone to the treatment for the 14th time, I believe it was. And, I had heard something, I think, that was appealing to me. It was AA. And I had known about AA, but, I had gone to AA a few times. I had joked around in AA a few times, met some people, some contacts, some drug dealers, whatever. And, that was about all the extent of AA that I had experienced during that time. But, I heard something, and, the stories that the guys came in with the panel, they were from AA and NA and all these different places. It started to sound kind of good, but not good enough to the point where I was going to actually go. Until one afternoon there was a group that came in, and they had this paper going around the room, and they had actually passed it around a few times, and I had gotten it and passed it over, didn't really look at it. And then they'd come back and I'd get it and I'd pass it over. And then one time I was just like, man, I'm so freaking bored. I'm going to fill this form out, because I was just like, I want to do something, sick of just sitting here. And I start filling this thing out. I'm like, whatever, And then I look at it, and it says, and I look at it as I'm passing it, and I read the bottom. It says, when you are released, you will get a phone call from someone in our program, and they will get a hold of you on your way out. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute, give me that back. And then it was like fast, like they sent it around. I was like, oh no. And then so I was like, shoot, they got my information. They got me, man. No, I did. I said SHIT, man, loudly in my mind. But it was too late, and they had me. So, I was like, okay, well, they're probably never going to call me. Like, well, they don't have time for that. I'm just this guy, right? So, I was getting out of treatment or whatever, and then I get home, and I was still living with Jaden's mom, my son Jaden. We were living together, and she came and picked me up. And I got home, and I looked across the street around the corner, and there was a house that I would frequent. And there were like 5 cars in the driveway, which I knew what that meant, that, he was fully loaded and he had stuff, and people were coming there to get it. And all of a sudden my phone rings, and it's this guy, hey, I'm Aaron from AA. I was like, whoa, what's up? And he's like, hey, do you want to go to a meeting? And I'm like, looking up, looking down, looking up over there. I'm like, yeah, when can you be here? I was like, I just knew, like, I'd done it enough times where I'd gotten right out and went straight back. And like, not even a day would go by. I wouldn't give it a day. I wouldn't give it a few hours. I'd go directly back, whether it was getting out of King County, walking across and getting a tall can, or walking around the corner and, getting loaded with people down there. And I said, yeah, man, yeah, let's go. It was like 2:30 or something. He's like, okay, well, I get off work about 6, and there's a meeting at 7. And I was like, 2:30, 3, 4, 5. I was like, well, 4 hours? Yeah, man. Okay, sure, whatever, And so, yeah, I basically like sat on my hands for 16 hours until he got there. And he came and picked me up, and I went to my first meeting. And, the timing, that there was some timing in that, because I think that, I'd met certain people that I still talk to this day, and they're still part of my recovery. And then immediately, like, they're like, hey, do you want to go to another meeting? Hey, do you want to go to a meeting? I know a meeting here. I know a meeting there. Hey, we're going to go to a barbecue, a picnic, a camp out. We got all this fun stuff that we like to do. I'm like, yeah, just take me with you, because I didn't think that I was going to quit. I didn't see my life without it, because what I was really good at was getting loaded. I was excellent at doing that. Throwing everything away. Luckily I put myself right in the middle. I surrounded myself with people in the program, and, I continue to do that. And over the years, I did see the folks that sort of kind of fell away and sort of went to the outside, and they got picked off. And, as sad as it is, I needed to see that, because that could have been me, and that still could be me if I don't continue doing the program, and I know that And a couple of years ago, there was a lot of downtime for us. I mean, there was computer Zoom meetings, but and I did some little what do you call it, sneaky meetings, backyard meetings, stuff like that. But yeah, it was a really good opportunity for me to be like, well, I don't really need meetings. Look, I'm sober, and I'm not going to a ton of meetings like I was, and that I realized how important like the actual meetings are. As long as much as the book and the steps and everything like that, the fellowship is. And the structure of the meetings is extremely important because I had gone, I'd gone a little while without me being at an in-person meeting, and then I had gone back to an in-person meeting, and the relief I felt after going in there was like, wow, man, like I really missed this a lot, and I just knew that by that feeling, I knew that that's what I needed in my life. So, yeah, I mean, today I live a good life. It's not always perfect, in fact, it's far from it. I've got issues still. I've got a lot of stuff going on, but as long as I'm physically sober, then I can do the other things to put the pieces back together in my life. And even after I put those pieces back together, they can still fall apart. And then but I have the tools today to put them back together. And I know that if I ever need anything, the people in this program, my close friends, and that's another thing is I have like really close friends today. I've got like brothers and sisters, that I felt so isolated growing up. Even if I had a friend, my family didn't understand me. Just going back a little bit again, my mom would be like, why don't you get your crap together, son? I'd be like, wow. Well, okay, Mom. Gosh, I'm going to do that. I'm going to get my crap together. Yeah, that sounds great. Let's do that. And then get my crap together, and then it'd be fine, right? No, I couldn't. I couldn't get it together. I didn't know how to, first of all. And life skills were minimal. So, I call a guy if I'm having an issue, or I heard a guy talk about something, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going through the same thing, and they talk about how they got through it, or what they did to help themselves, and then they got it from someone else, and then they got it from someone else. So I try to stand by the principles the best I can, and it's not always perfect, it's not always right, but the mistakes that I make today don't put me in jail, don't destroy my family connection, don't hurt other people in the community, don't take financial strain on people, and that's a good feeling. And so I just put one foot in front of the other, and sometimes good, sometimes bad, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly, and as long as I keep doing this deal, my life is as good as it's ever been. So for that, I appreciate you, and thank you very much, and I'm done.
Thanks, Jeff.